Everyone, it's Coach Tina with Rowdy Ryder Academy, and in this brief skill demonstration, I'm going to talk about drops. So doing a drop, let's say you haven't gotten any airtime before, all you really want to do is be able to pop off like a 1-foot rock drop. So right here behind me I have these land wave ramps and boxes that make really good practice settings for learning the timing, the technique on drops. So the technique, there's a few of them. I'm sure you've all watched tons of other YouTube videos. But the technique that I found to be most successful for me is what I call the stomp and the flick. So obviously with drops, we're trying to get our bikes to the ground as smoothly and as safely as we can, as quick as we can. So we're not trying to get extra air. We don't want to get tall in the air so we land harsh. We want to get to the ground, ideally, if it's a drop to a flat surface, both wheels at the same time, or a downhill drop, same thing, both wheels at the same time, or the front wheel just slightly before the rear wheel. What we don't want to happen is the rear wheel to hit first and then you to smack forward with your front wheel. That's going to cause for a really bumpy landing, not super safe. So stomp and flick, what is that? Move my bike here. Basically, it's that load and explode, which I've got other videos on, like the front wheel lift and the rear wheel lift, the level lift. So the stomp down is going to compress our bike, compress that suspension, and then the explode up is what releases the energy. But again, remember, we're not trying to get extra air. We want to just unweight the bike just slightly so that both tires leave the lip of the drop, or the end of it, really smoothly and it doesn't get hung up. But really what's more important is that flick, so getting the bike to go out in front of us. So what is important here is, let's say this is the drop, is I've got to time my stomp and flick correct, right? If I stomp here and start to flick my bike, my front tire is probably not at the edge yet. That's going to be too early. So I need to time it where by the time my front tire reaches the edge, I have already done a tiny little stomp, and then that's when I flick the bike. So do the stomp and flick dance. So as we approach the edge of the drop itself, I want to get forward so that I have the range of motion to get my bike out in front and I'm not already behind it, because if you're already in the back seat, your front tire's just going to dip. That's not going to be good. So we got to get forward and then a little stomp, a little flick. And again, drops are so many different kinds, but for today's video, let's say you're a beginner, you've never done it before, this is where we would want to start. So I'm getting forward, right at the edge of the drop, little stomp, little flick. So if I were to walk my bike up onto this drop, I've got level pedals coming into it. Mentally, I'm set, I'm ready, and I'm committed to it, no more braking. So as I approach that edge, right about here is probably where I'm going to do the little stomp, and then right here, flick the bike out in front. And then once you land, your hips will kind of recenter in the air, and you want to land in that nice, ready position. Absorb the landing. Bend your knees, bend your elbows, so your hips should be centered right over your feet, or right over that bottom bracket. So stay tuned for a demo. So that is basically an introduction to drops. So again, you can call it whatever you want. I like the stomp and flick. Yeah, to me, most drops feel really good, unless it's a bigger drop where I really don't want any extra air. In that case, I want to try to take out my stomp and just get my body position forward on the bike at the edge of that drop, and then guide it down where I want to go with my hands. So hopefully that was helpful. Try it out. If you're still struggling, come here for a lesson. We've got lots of skills to work on here on the turf. On the land wave, we practice this a bunch of times. Make sure you're confident, make sure your timing is correct, technique is looking good, you're consistent, you're able to get it more than just a few times. And then we head over to the drop zone for the 3 progressive drops. If those are feeling amazing, you're hitting that big drop with smooth, consistent, confident, technique is great, then we can take you to the hill where we've got our 2 in a row, pretty big drops. But thanks for tuning in, and looking forward to working with you.